Hi everybody, welcome to week 3, Skulls and Textures. I just put the weekly overview on the website and everything's uploaded, everything's in the folders. We're going to keep using the same rhythm as we have been. So you'll find week 3, Skulls and Textures over there in the folder that says week 3. And I just wanted to talk you through a little bit. So this is the weekly overview. Yours is color up here. I don't have a color printer right now, but I also, here's the kind of the description of what we're going to be doing this week. But I gave a little bit of background onto how this all started, and basically how it started was one time my daughter, and this was a couple of years ago, so she was maybe 11, yeah, maybe 11, maybe 10, and she was sitting, and she was just kind of sitting in our living room, and she started to look around, and she said, "Mom, why do we have skulls all over our house?" And I'd never really thought about it before because I love skulls and I love bones, but it really kind of set me off on this idea of thinking about it, because I had never really thought about it. But I write about how I started to really notice the skulls around me, and how in the Mexican culture, Dia de los Muertos, excuse me, Day of the Dead, which I feel a real connection with, and how skulls and bones are really a celebration of life, and how in the Anglo culture, for example, most of my heritage, skulls and bones really represent death. It's not something that that a lot of people decorate their homes with. And in the northern New Mexico Hispanic culture, skulls represent often a matanza, which is a slaughter. And so anyways, I really started to look at, okay, what do skulls and bones, how are they a reflection of the culture, and how are they, what can we understand about other cultures, and how can we create understanding? So for example, one time I gave this presentation on skulls and culture here in Santa Fe, and what was fascinating for me was afterwards, a student who was there who had come to the presentation, who's from Mexico. She's married to an American, and she's been in the United States for 5 years. And we looked at how Anglos view skulls. We looked at how the Mexicans view skulls. We look at the northern New Mexican Hispanic. We kind of looked at the ancient routes of the livestock that came up from Mexico, brought by the conquistadores. And what was amazing was afterwards she came up to me and she said, "I never understood how differently Americans think about skulls than Mexicans." And then there was another woman there who was a northern New Mexican Hispanic, and she said, "I went to Mexico and I couldn't understand why there were skulls everywhere." And so that was kind of how this started. And then I stumbled across the word of reification. And I write to you about, I write about all of this, but how reification is to regard or treat an abstraction, to make something abstract concrete. And I started to think of skulls as kind of the reifications, this abstract culture, something that concrete. So that's kind of what kicked it off. I can't wait to hear your ideas, to hear your thoughts on all of this. I set up this week's overview just a little bit different in that it's I walk you through, it's as if we were kind of, it's when I give this presentation in person, it's kind of the steps that we go through along the way. So for example, the first thing I recommend is do a quick write about all of your thoughts, all of your experiences, all of your associations with skulls. And, don't overthink, cluster if you want, but just write all of your thoughts about skulls. And then the small groups are there, so then if you could post that for all to share, that would be wonderful. And so it's I walk through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but going in order, responding in order, each builds on the next. Would be wonderful to do that throughout the week. And then for our writing piece this week, I'm including a piece from Stephen King's on writing, and it's his toolbox. And he talks about one of his classic lines, adverbs are not your friend. And that comes to my mind frequently every time I go to write with an adverb. So anyways, this is his, the writing piece at the end is from this. Please read it. There is, I mean, as I was looking over it again, there is such wisdom there. I just love it. So this is from this book. I brought some of the books, the copies that I made that are the readings for this week. And I'm sorry that they are written all over. I tend to I write all over my books. I make notes, I write, I ask questions, but I apologize that the photocopies have that. But this is the book, the piece that you're reading on Skulls and Skeleton is this book right here, which is Skulls to the Living, Bread to the Dead, The Day of Dead in Mexico and Beyond. So I just wanted to kind of give you a visual of what this book, there's all my notes and everything, but a visual of what this book looks like, because I love to see the covers of books that I read. So this is this. This is a marvelous book on skulls, and I include the link. There's also this is also online. It's skullsaday.com, and so I include that link for you. But this is one of my very favorite books, and it's all of these different, you'll see this all online, but it's this artist, and he creates skulls out of everyday, look, there's the veggies, out of everyday things, and then shares them online. Look at that. I love this book, and I find myself, I just pick it up and look at it again and again and again. Look at that. Because every time I open it up and I look at it, there's something new. So anyways, this is all right there in that link for you, but I just wanted you to see what the book looked like that came from this, and I'll probably share it with you again this week, because each deserves to be appreciated and absorbed. So there's this. We also read a piece this week from Luis Alberto Urrea, his book, The Devil's Highway, because as I mentioned, so I started looking at skulls and their different the skulls as reification of culture, and of course, as we talked about last week, and we'll look at some more this week, my mind immediately went to the skulls of immigrants that are now along this landscape. And he writes about this for the beginning of his book, Devil's Highway. And he's not only an incredible writer, but just from all my experiences with him, such a decent, wonderful human being. So there's this. We also read a poem, and it's called Gnawed Bones, and it's from this selection of poetry, and I just thought I would just read it aloud. You have it written, but I just thought I would read it aloud as well. Gnawed Bones. If language is bones, hard parts of speech, what do skulls of pack rats crushed into owl pellets have to tell us? If this delicate pelvis once balanced a gravid javelina, what word passes on her shotes? If cicada shells hang on like single mothers starved for touch, what does hot wind whisper through them? If every day reenacts creation, if we live here, now, in the first world and the last, let us speak in our bones. Languages of water, from all skies, from deep underground, let our bones quench the thirst of history. For all we yearn to sip, marrow of each dry tongue. I love that. So we have this as well. And then I just grabbed, I was thinking, Jackie, you mentioned about, I didn't know there was this, wealth of books about writing. Oh, yes. Welcome to a wonderful new world. And so I included that list of my top 10 that I could think of while I was kind of sitting there away from my bookshelves. And so I wanted to show you what some of those look like. And of course, I found more. So now it's like the top 15. But here's one of the books that I had recommended, Natalie Goldberg's Thunder and Lightning. She is quite well known for her book Writing Down the Bones, ironically enough. For whatever reason, this was the book that spoke to me more. I invite you, try Writing Down the Bones. That's kind of the book that she's most well known for. I loved this Thunder and Lightning. So there's this. This is one of my all-time favorite books too, and it's Making a Literary Life. This is on that list by Carolyn C. Fabulous advice, fabulous writing, fabulous ideas. So there's this one. I saw this on my bookshelf this morning as I was thinking about this, and I thought, oh my gosh, I loved that book. It's called Wrestling with Your Angels, A Spiritual Journey to Great Writing. This is, as you can see, I mean, I've written all over it, marked pages. I may have to go back and reread this book, actually, because I remember how profound it was for me. Prayer and contemplation. Anyways, I'll stop reading, but this is another one that really, I read this early on when I started writing, and it had a profound influence. This is an awesome book. It was not on the top 10, but I saw it. This is a great book. It's Elizabeth George. Many of you know her through her. She writes thrillers and mysteries, but it's her Write Away, One Novelist's Approach to Fiction Writing and the Writing Life. And what I found in here was, look, I just wrote all over the place, were some of the real nuts and bolts to writing. And I read this kind of at the right time, especially when it came to character development. The first of these is the character's core need. I mean, this really, I read this at the right time, and for the real nuts and bolts of how do you create plot, how do you create structure, how do you create character, I just thought this was one of the best that I read out there. So I brought those to share with us. I can't wait to share your ideas and thoughts about skulls and culture and textures this week. So I'm going to go ahead and post this so I get it up there with everything. But let's dive in. Week 3. See you there. Bye.